The Steelers travel to Landover, Maryland here in Week 10 to take on a red-hot 7-2 Washington Commanders team in a battle between two teams that are on the up and up in the National Football League. Welcome into the Steelers Talk Preview. I am your host, Jack Sperry. Today, I'm going to be breaking down trends, the scheme that the Washington Commanders like to run on both sides of the ball, keys to victory for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and make sure you stick around for my official score prediction this week. And also, don't forget, make sure you click that subscribe button because we are going to be going live on Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time for our live watch party, an hour of pregame tailgate coverage, followed by live play-by-play coverage, and then extensive post-game coverage as well after the game is over. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already to join the largest Steelers news talk community here on the YouTube platform. All right, so let's get into this one, man, because I love this matchup. This is the most exciting game in the NFL this week, in my opinion. The Pittsburgh Steelers coming off 3 straight wins and off a bye, traveling to Landover, Maryland at Northwest Stadium, where the Washington Commanders are coming off 3 straight wins, and they're currently sitting at 7-2. Now, a couple things to keep in mind here when it comes to this game. Coach Mike Tomlin is 13-4 after a bye in his career. So that's some good news if you are a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Some other good news is that Coach T is 25-6 versus rookie quarterbacks in his career. So those two kind of trends combined definitely points to a Pittsburgh Steelers victory this week. However, what I'll say here is that Jayden Daniels is not your average rookie quarterback, man, and we'll get into his scouting report later in today's show, so make sure you guys stick around for that. But in the meantime, let's break down the scheme and the coaching for the Washington Commanders. Dan Quinn is their first-year head coach here in Washington. He has a 7-2 record to start his tenure in the nation's capital, but this isn't his first rodeo. He was a longtime head coach there in Atlanta. He has a career record as a head coach of 50-44. On offense, Kliff Kingsbury is their is their offensive coordinator. Man, he has done a really, really good job, elevating and adjusting his scheme for the modern NFL. I mean, I don't know what he did at USC last year, but he came into the NFL this year ready to go. He runs a pro air raid style of offense that is a perfect fit for young quarterback Jayden Daniels. Then on defense, Joe Witt Jr., not Dan Quinn, is the guy calling the plays. And honestly, Joe Witt Jr. really, really similar in terms of his demeanor, in terms of his personality to Mike Tomlin, actually. So Joe Witt Jr., keep your eye on him for head coaching jobs. Same thing with Kliff Kingsbury, but they run an aggressive 4-3. Where they're going to really want to play man coverage, and they're going to want to get up close and personal with these receivers. Also, here's what the Commanders have done so far this year. Now, something that you might kind of realize here is that this is kind of a soft schedule, especially the teams that the Commanders have beaten so far this year. The Giants twice, the Bears, the Bengals, the Cardinals, the Panthers. It's just not very good. And the two teams that they lost to, right, the Buccaneers and the Ravens, are arguably the two best teams on this list right now. And that combines for a record. So if you take the combined record of the teams that the Commanders have played this year, it's 21-41 for a win percentage of 33.8. That is terrible, abysmal, okay? Just for reference, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the team that everybody says hasn't beaten anyone this year, the win percentage of their opponents this year is about 43%. So the Commanders have definitely had an easier road so far this season, and they haven't seen a Pittsburgh Steelers team like this all throughout this season to this point. Some key injuries to keep an eye out for the Washington Commanders. Jonathan Allen, their defensive tackle, will be out for the rest of this season, which of course includes this week with a pec tear. Brian Robinson Jr. and Marshon Lattimore, their newly acquired cornerback, are dealing with hamstring injuries. They're both questionable at the time of me recording this video. And then Cornelius Lucas, their starting left tackle, is also questionable with an ankle. So they're key offensive pieces. Rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels. They have an excellent run game led by Brian Robinson Jr. and Austin Eckler. And they like to share the sugar in the passing game. Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown are their top 2 receivers, but they also have some nice supplementary pieces in De'Ami Brown, Luke McCaffrey, Alameda Zaccheaus, and of course tight end Zach Ertz. So you take a look at the team trends here between this awesome powerhouse matchup here. The 4th best scoring offense versus the 2nd best scoring defense. I can't wait to see this matchup, man. This is a Commanders offense, by the way, that's not 3rd in turnovers. They're 1st, actually. They've only given up 3 turnovers in the entire season so far, which, by the way, is an NFL record through 9 weeks that goes all the way back to 1933. But the thing that I'm looking out for here on this graphic specifically, guys, is the red zone percentage. The Commanders' offense at times has had games and stretches where they've been really bad getting the ball in the end zone. The Steelers have the number 1 red zone defense in the National Football League, so that is certainly a mismatch here that I think the Steelers can take advantage of 100%. So if you take a look at the points per game trends here, the Commanders are scoring close to 30, and the Steelers' defense has given up about 15. So when you cross-reference those numbers, you would project that the Commanders playing at home will score about 23 points in this football game, okay? Now let's shift over to the other side of the ball, where Washington just added Marshon Lattimore. We'll talk about him later in the show today, but Frankie Louvu, I think, is playing at an all-pro caliber level at linebacker. They use him as an edge rusher on kind of obvious passing situations as well. Dante Fowler Jr. has had a bunch of impact plays, sacks, interceptions, forced fumbles. Watch out for Dante Fowler Jr. And then Deron Payne and Bobby Wagner are 2 other players that they're paying to be impact players on their front 7 as well. You look at the team trends here on this side of the ball. Now this side, because the Commanders' defense kind of shifted here with getting Marshon Lattimore, and the Steelers' offense has shifted in recent weeks with going to Russell Wilson, take these with more of a grain of salt here. But the points per game trends this year so far would indicate about 21 points for the Pittsburgh Steelers, okay? Which, of course, would project a 23-21 win for the Washington Commanders this week at home in this powerhouse matchup. However, okay, when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers offense on that side of the ball, the reason why I think the Steelers will end up scoring more than 21 points this week is because things have changed with Russell Wilson under center. Remember, 6 of the 8 games that the Steelers have played to this point have been with Justin Fields at quarterback. So if you just take a look at the 2 games that the Steelers have had with Russ under center, right now they're scoring 31.5 points per game, and that's against 2 defenses that are in the top half of scoring defense this year in the New York Jets and the New York Giants. And honestly, there is a couple plays in that Giants game that could have ended up in touchdowns, but some unfortunate circumstances lowered the score. So honestly, this is more like 38 points per game for the Pittsburgh Steelers these last 2 weeks. So I think my new prediction with Russ, with the points per game to this point, would be 26-23 Steelers win if you incorporate that 31.5 points per game number. So I do think the Steelers probably have a little bit of the advantage this week in terms of the trends. So still to come here on Steelers Talk, keys to victory for the Steelers over the Washington Commanders this week. Also, I got my Jayden Daniels scouting report breaking down his game and what the Steelers need to do to stop him. And then also, I got that Week 10 score prediction at the end of today's show, so make sure you stick around to the end to get that score prediction. But first, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Prize Picks, which is the best place to get real money sports action all on your phone this football season. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. Prize Picks invented Flex Play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Also, Prize Picks offers Venmos, so for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. Don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday, where every Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineup. Here is my lineup for this weekend's game against the Commanders. I'm going to take the more on passing yards for Russ, the more on receiving yards for George Pickens, and the less on rushing yards for Jayden Daniels. So if you guys want to get in on fun before the Commanders and Steelers kick things off on Sunday, download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 instantly, and use code CLNS after playing your first $5 lineup on the Prize Picks app today. Prize Picks, run your game. First key to victory for the Pittsburgh Steelers this week over the Commanders is to keep Jayden Daniels in the bucket. Now, if you're not familiar with the bucket, let me inform you what that means. When you have a rushing-style quarterback, keeping a quarterback in the bucket is essentially like you don't want that bucket to leak, essentially. And you do not want Jayden Daniels to be leaking outside of the pocket where he can kill you with his legs, because he is a dynamic rusher of the football, plain and simply. But he's not just a rusher, guys. He's not just a running back out there. This guy is one of the most nuanced in structure playmakers in the game today. His footwork and his throwing mechanics are just immaculate, which lead to great accuracy to all levels of the field. He processes information at one of the highest clips in the National Football League. He's really good at seeing over the middle of the field. He's got great deep ball touch, throwing the ball to Terry McLaurin and Noah Brown down the field. And then the decision-making, man, I mean, you saw the numbers. They're first in turnovers this year because Jayden Daniels is doing such a good job at protecting the football so early in his NFL career. He's got such a great feel for when to use his legs, when to throw it into a tight window, when to not. This guy's just got an incredible feel for the game. And, the only cons really with this game, guys, is that he lacks experience in the NFL, but that doesn't seem to matter because he's playing so damn well. And then self-protection. I mean, this guy doesn't get down and slide very much, so there's going to be opportunities here if he starts running. TJ Watt, Landon Roberts, Patrick Quinn, if he's not getting down, make sure he feels it. Period. All right, you need to do that. He's been dealing a little bit with a rib issue as well, so that might play a factor if he takes a big hit. And the good news, if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, is I think this Steelers pass rush has the advantage over the Commanders' offensive line this week. You take a look at what matchups you can expect to see on Sunday afternoon. I love the matchups for the Steelers on the edges. Andrew Wiley stinks. He is their starting right tackle. He's going up against the best football player on the planet in TJ Watt. That's a matchup that I'm going to be watching out for that could wreck the game. Also, Brandon Coleman is a kind of raw rookie coming out of TCU that's going to be starting at left tackle this week. Alex Highsmith is going to be able to use that speed and that bend around the edge to get to Jayden Daniels, and hopefully guys like Cam Hayward, Keanu Benton, and Larry Ogunjobi can collapse the pocket and get these sacks on Jayden Daniels and not let him leak outside of the bucket. Okay, now, number 2 key to victory this week. You got to stop him in the red zone, plain and simply. Okay, and we talked about it a little bit earlier when we were going over the trends. The Commanders in certain games this year have not done well in the red zone. I think they went 0 for 6 in week 2 against the Giants defense, and then they went 0 for 3 just a couple weeks ago against the Chicago Bears defense. The Steelers currently have the number 1 red zone defense in the National Football League. So if there's any week that the Commanders are going to once again struggle to get to pay dirt, it's going to be this week. And really, man, when you talk about this Commanders offense, they can run the football effectively. They distribute the ball to a bunch of different weapons. It's not just Terry McLaurin. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's going to take a full team effort to be able to corral this offense. There's a reason why they are as explosive and as efficient as they are, and this is going to be a very important week for the Pittsburgh Steelers to play complete team defense if they want to stop Jayden Daniels and the Commanders' offense from scoring over 30 points. Now, we get to on the offensive side of the ball here. The big thing is going to be the run game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Once again, okay? If there's any weakness that the Commanders have, it's the run game, and Najee Harris has been unbelievable these last 3 games. Over 100 yards rushing per game, almost 6 yards per carry, and almost a touchdown per game as well. Najee Harris has been really the first-round pick kind of running back that we have been hoping to see from him throughout his entire tenure here with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the Commanders right now are allowing 5.1 yards per carry. That is the 3rd worst in the National Football League. So this is kind of a softer defense, and I do think Najee Harris is going to have to really take advantage of that this weekend. Also, Jaylen Warren, Cordero Patterson, if he plays, got to take advantage of this soft Commanders run defense and control the time of possession. And I want, in the 4th quarter, to have this Commanders defense sucking for wind and begging for this Steelers rushing attack to stop by the end of this football game, man. I want them to be gassed. I want them to be tired. And I want, when the Steelers get into the 4-minute drill, to just have it be over. No chance of stopping this team, and I think they can do it. Now, number 4 key to victory this week. Send it to the moon, man. When the Commanders come up and they play press and they put an extra guy in the box and they give you opportunities to throw the ball deep to George Pickens and Mike Williams, you need to take advantage of that. Now, a wrench that could be thrown into the system here is Marshon Lattimore, the newly acquired cornerback, is really the piece that they needed to really match up well against the Pittsburgh Steelers this week. Now, Lattimore is dealing with a hamstring injury. He did not play last week when he was still at the Saints against the Panthers, and at the time that I'm recording this video, he has not practiced for the Washington Commanders. So we'll see if he's on the field, but this is going to be a huge X factor for this game, guys, and here's why. This is what the matchups will look like for the most part if Lattimore plays. Lattimore, a true lockdown number one corner versus George Pickens. Benjamin St-Juste, a long and physical corner against Mike Williams, perfectly suited to take away Mike Williams in this game. And Mike Samerstra, a really good slot guy against Calvin Austin III. Actually, the Commanders match up pretty darn well here if Marshon plays. Now let's see what it will look like if they don't have Lattimore on the field. George Pickens versus Benjamin St-Juste. Good luck. St-Juste is not a number one corner. Then you got Mike Samerstra, who is like 5 or 6 inches shorter than Mike Williams, trying to defend the 50-50 balls. Good luck with that, Mike. And then you got Noah Igbenogany, who is just an okay slot corner, going up against Calvin Austin III, an absolutely dynamic route runner. I mean, in this scenario, the Steelers have all the advantages if Marshon Lattimore isn't on the field. So definitely keep an eye out on Marshon Lattimore and his status heading into Sunday's matchup. The final key to victory is that if it's close, okay, and depending on the score, all these different things, you got to make the play late. And for all the games that you guys have watched these previews, man, I usually make this the last key to victory if I think it's going to be close. And, you know, what this essentially means is that there's a play to be made in the fourth quarter that you got to make, whether that's a TJ Watt strip sack, whether that's a touchdown drive to win the game from Russell Wilson, whether that's a special teams play that changes the tide. You got to make the play late to win the football game. The Steelers have done a good job doing that so far this year. They're going to have to do it if they want to beat the Commanders on the road on Sunday. So my score prediction here, I actually don't think it's going to be that close. I think the Steelers have a really good matchup here. I'm not super confident in Marshon Lattimore playing on Sunday, and if that's the case, I honestly think it's a bigger win for the Steelers here. But for now, I'm going to say 27-16 Steelers win. I think that Najee Harris in the run game will once again dominate. I think that Russell Wilson will hit a couple deep shots down the field. And I think the defense does a really good job at stopping the Commanders' offense when they get into the red zone. So lots of field goals for the Commanders. I'm going to give them one touchdown here, but I think the Steelers stop them every other time. I'm going to go 27-16. Steelers win to get to 7-2 on the season. So it's your turn. Let me know down there in the comments section. Predict the score of Steelers versus Commanders down there in the comments section. I got 27-16. Steelers win. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. I really do appreciate all of your guys' support. We love doing these in-depth, informative previews every single week for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So if you bleed black and gold and you want this informative, in-depth type of content on this football team every day, we provide it right here on Steelers Talk. So what are you waiting for? Click that subscribe button right now.